Hey, it's Cristin from CristinOnDemand.com, and on this channel you will see videos all about teaching ESL online for aspiring, new, and veteran teachers. And in this video, we are going to be talking all about the new incentive pay program for GoGoKid. Now, I am a new GoGoKid teacher myself, and when I was looking to become a teacher for GoGoKid, I was researching the incentive pay program as it stood then, just to kind of see what it was all about, and I thought it was a little confusing then. Fast forward to now, I am now a hired GoGoKid teacher, and the incentive pay program for 2020 has changed for new teachers, and it can be or seem rather confusing. It has a lot of little parts that go into it, making it seem on the outside when you're looking at it initially rather overwhelming. Now, I want to reassure you that once you break it down, it's actually quite simple. The formulas are quite simple. That in this video, I'm going to break it down for you step by step, and I'm hoping that you can see just how simple this new incentive pay program actually is, so that when you look at it, you're not like me and completely overwhelmed by it, and you can see how simple it actually is. So let's dive in. Okay, so the first thing to note, very important thing to note with this incentive program is that your base pay with GoGoKid, you will always get no matter what. So you just might not get incentive pay on top of your base pay. But no matter what is going on, you're having tons of IT issues, cancellations, you still only get so many in a contract. You still have to pay attention to your contract, so you're not in void of that. But if your credit score is very low and you're not getting any incentive pay, that's one thing, but you will always be getting your base pay. So if your base pay, you sign your contract and your base pay is $8 per class, no matter what, as long as you are not in breach of your contract, like I said, you will always be getting that per class no matter what. Now, what you're interested in is how much more on top of that base pay can I be making with GoGoKid per their incentive program? And here is how that works. Okay, so basically there are two equations you need to know. The first is how to calculate your credit score incentive. How do we do this? How is it done? I will show you. Okay, so your credit score incentive is your incentive base pay multiplied by your incentive percentage. Now, that's great. What do these words mean, right? Let's break it down even further, and then I will show you an example, put the numbers in, and it might help it make even a little bit more sense, I hope. So your incentive base pay is the amount of pay that you are going to get paid per day based on the number of classes that you teach in that day. Now remember, this new incentive pay for GoGoKid is fluid. It can change by the day. So if you teach 3 classes in a day, your incentive pay is going to be different than the next day if you were to teach 9 classes. It moves, it does not stay the same. So let's take a look at the chart and see what the incentive base pay looks like based on the number of classes you teach in a day. Take a look. Okay, so based on this chart, you can see if you teach 1 class in a day, you are not going to receive any incentive base pay for that class. That's just, they're not going to give you any incentive base pay for that. So if you complete 2 to 3 classes in a day, you're going to get $1.50 for those classes as your incentive base pay per class completed in that day. 4 to 5 classes gets $1.70 per class, 6 to 8 gets $1.80, and 9 or more classes gets $2 per class. That is your incentive base pay. Okay, incentive base pay. That is part of our credit score incentive, right? This part right here. So what are we multiplying that by? How are we getting our incentive percentage? Let's take a look. So your incentive percentage is going to be based on that very popular thing in GoGoKid, your credit score. So you'll be able to find this in your teacher portal. It will tell you down the left-hand side what level you are at for your credit score. You will find that, and based on that, you will be able to find your incentive percentage. So let's take a look. There's a chart where you can see it. Let's take a look at the chart and see where you're at or where you may be at based on the level for your credit score. Let's look. Okay, so looking at this chart, you can see level 1, 0 to 59 for your credit score. Your incentive percentage is 0. So basically, it doesn't really matter how many classes you teach in a day because anything multiplied by 0 is 0. So you really need to get that credit score. Even level 2, 60 to 69 again is 0. So you need to get that credit score at least to a 70 into that level 3 range so that you're working with some kind of percentage. 70 to 79, level 3, 100%, 80 to 94, level 4 is 110%, and level 5, where we all aspire to be or should aspire to be, that 95 to 100, level 5, 125%. So this is the chart that you need to be looking at. This is where you will find that incentive percentage that you need to complete the credit score incentive formula. Okay, so credit score incentive formula, we found out how to find our incentive base pay and our incentive percentage. Let's take a look at an example to see how we might calculate our credit score incentive for a day. Because again, remember, these numbers, especially this incentive base pay, is fluid. It's based on the day. How many classes are you teaching in that day? So let's take a look. Okay, so in this example, our incentive base pay is $1.70. Say we taught 4 to 5 classes in that day. Our incentive percentage is 125% because we are rock stars, rocking it at level 5 for our credit score. So we take our incentive base times our incentive percentage, which is 170 times that 1.25, would give us $2.13 as our incentive pay per class for that day. Okay? Just our incentive pay for that day. Got it? Okay. So the hard part is, there's a few hard parts actually. Your incentive pay can change every day. It can change based on the number of classes that you teach in a day. Obviously, the more classes you teach, the higher that incentive base pay is going to be, or if you teach less classes, that number will go down. So your incentive pay can fluctuate based on that. It can also fluctuate based on your credit score. So if something happens, you have IT issues, teacher no-show, things like that, and your credit score goes down, then that also will impact the incentive pay that you're getting for that day. So all these things go into how much money you're getting paid per class per day. Now, another thing that makes it hard to calculate, or at least know what you're getting paid, is that GoGoKid system does not update your credit score and things like that for 6 days. So you don't know what you're getting paid per class until 6 days later, which makes it hard to rely on or know what you're getting paid for those classes that happened a week ago. But at least having this formula, if you know where your credit score sits and you know how many classes you taught, if you really do want to sit down and figure it out, you have the formulas. They're very simple. You just plug in the numbers into the formulas that I gave you, and you can figure it out, or at least come pretty close to knowing how much you're going to be making per class on those specific days based on, again, what your credit score is and how many classes you taught in that day. Plus, you always know your base pay, you're always getting that. So basically, the bottom line is, as long as you're doing your job, you're working really hard, you're on time, you're getting those good evaluations and everything, keeping that credit score as high as you can, aspiring to be at that level 5, getting that 125%. If you're maintaining that 125% and you're consistent with how many classes you teach, if you have a consistent schedule, I know that's not always possible for everyone, but if you are, then all you have to do is really do that calculation once, maybe twice if your number of classes goes up and down, and you're going to pretty much know what your incentive pay is going to be. Just add that to your base pay, and you're going to know how much money you're making per class with GoGoKid. So it's as simple as that. I hope that this video helped to simplify this new incentive program for you. Like I said, I know looking at it, it's a little daunting, and there's a lot of things that go into your credit score, what can impact it to make it go up or down. But again, as long as you're doing your job, I know things happen, but just aspire to be at that level 5. Try to be consistent in how many classes you're teaching, and maybe hopefully, you will only have to do this formula, plug in these numbers maybe once, a couple times if your schedule changes here or there, but you shouldn't have to be, hopefully, plugging these numbers in all the time to try to figure out your incentive pay. If you're consistent, like I said, and you're maintaining your credit score, you should have a pretty good idea on what your incentive pay is. Add that to your base pay. And again, you should have a good idea on what you're making per class. So again, I hope this helped. If it does, let me know in the comments. Be sure to subscribe. I have more videos like this coming your way. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.